model for where we could go, I think we're going to go somewhere between $750,000 to $1 million in Bitcoin on the upside.
Boom. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Arthur Hayes, the man, the myth, the legend. Bitcoin going to $750,000 to $1 million. And we'll get into why I came up with that number in just a bit on the thumbnail and title. But we're going to go into this video and talk a little bit about the Ethereum futures, what was going on there. But more importantly, we're going to get into the logic behind why I believe strongly that we are headed for a $1 million Bitcoin and maybe sooner than a lot of you guys might expect. All right, guys, let's get into it. My name is Kyle Chassé. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I bring you all the alpha here, everything that you need to know on how to maximize your knowledge and possibility of gaining optimal profits and this upcoming bull run, this super cycle that we're about to see. Like the video, guys, if you appreciate the alpha that I bring to you guys. Let's get into it. And so the next thing that we're going to talk about is this Ethereum futures ETF, right?
Unprecedented day in the history of ETFs. Never seen this happen before. We have a multitude of Ether and Ether plus Bitcoin futures ETFs launching all on the same day. Remember when BITO launched? That was 2 years ago. Those Bitcoin futures, only one launched, and it got like all the volume basically. So the SEC was like, well, we don't want to do that anymore. Let's have them all out to have fair play. So here's the ones all in the market trading today. There's their volume. I kind of sorted it by the most volume as of noon. Total of $2 million trading. Not that much. Although compared to a regular launch, it's a lot, but it's not a lot versus BITO. So little less interest in here.
Okay, so basically he's talking about this volume here, and you can see the ones that are Ethereum futures only is $600,000, not very much trading volume, and they're comparing that to this BITO Bitcoin futures ETF that happened back in 2021, literally in October 20th. This was the peak, like the absolute top $69,000 Bitcoin when even institutions and everyone was just foaming at the mouth trying to get in because they were watching all these juicy gains that all the retail was getting and they wanted a chance to get in. But we had in the past, we had the CBOE Bitcoin futures open to trading that crashed the 2017 bull run. And then this BITO happened literally on the day, like basically the highest peak day of the 2021 bull run. And now we have the Ethereum futures that have launched. And when people are making comparisons here, like, and we'll get into that in a second, but I want to go over this first because I thought it was hilarious. Whoever is running VanEck X account is, look at this, 1 million views on an account that has 17,000 followers. So, but it's just hilarious to see this crypto culture, low volume, just like your JPEGs, coming from an institutional X account that has, 1955 is when VanEck launched, and they have like $750 billion in assets under management. So very institutional, right? But look at this. How do cats apply as a shit poster at VanEck? I'll be your intern. My favorite one is coming down here, but you can see these are hilarious. You can see all the ones I've liked. Tell me you long without telling me you long. And this is my favorite. Is this project going to have a token? This is amazing, right? I love it. It just makes me laugh in the middle of a slow market. So this is kind of, this is a very interesting post here. Not sure how everyone can remain so excited about the impact of potential BTC and BTC Spot ETF after seeing how ETH futures went. There simply is not much demand for these products in this environment. Long term, they have some impact. Short term, the amount of front-running flows that have already occurred, likely far greater than ETF inflows. I don't know how, normally this account is pretty smart, good traders. However, this is like an apples to oranges comparison. You can't compare Bitcoin spot with an ETF where they're expecting you to give them their money to trade futures on Ethereum, right? Ethereum compared to futures on legacy equity accounts on the stock market is risky, right? Because it's much more easy to manipulate Ethereum's market cap, lower volume than traditional equities. And so, of course, people aren't super interested in giving their money to institutions to gamble away in the casino of margin trading on Ethereum. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a completely different analogy then Bitcoin Spot ETF, where the investors will actually get to own, essentially through the ETF, the underlying asset. So they're taking direct exposure in Bitcoin and Ethereum with spot ETFs versus a hedge fund, which is very risky on futures ETFs. So this is not a like-for-like comparison. I don't even know what he was thinking. You can see that here Alex Crew comes and says, a futures ETF is a useless product, absolutely irrelevant beyond the short term. I completely agree with this. Okay, so let's get into the Bitcoin discussion, right? That's where we're here to see where is Bitcoin going over the next, 2 years or so. Let's listen to Arthur Hayes.
Censorship resistant, or
actually, let's not listen to that one. I'll get back to another one in a minute. But let's get into. I have another clip from him. We'll get into it in a second. So, what you saw before on the video I shared earlier was that what the SEC will likely do is approve all the Bitcoin spot ETFs at once. You've heard this from Novogratz before in this channel. We've talked about it. But I want to get into something even more interesting, right? Well, first of all, let's just talk about this. This is just speculation here about what would happen if Bitcoin spot ETFs got approved. And this comes from the article, I forget where it is, but it was an article from Bloomberg where he talks about $150 to $200 billion in inflows. And this guy goes into a discussion here about how that would affect the price. But I think this is way off. He says that's a 48,000 BTC in late 2025, 2026. I could not, maybe that is exactly what happens if only $150 to $200 billion comes in, by 20. But this is just so far off from what's going to happen. And I know that he says this is a modest assumption, but I'm going to give you the case on why I think it's way more than this. And so in this clip here, Arthur goes into talking a bit about how he sees the market unfolding, both the macro in equities and traditional markets, as well as crypto, and the bull case coming up into the 2024 bull run, where the end of 24 is when things get really exciting. And then,
as we get to some sort of financial disturbance and people recognize that real rates are negative, if government are growing, if the economy is growing at a nominal rate of 10%, but I'm only getting 5%, 6%, even though it's high, people are on the margin going to start buying other stuff, crypto being one of those things. So coming into 2024, either we get a financial crisis, rates go to zero, or we keep raising rates, but not as fast as governments are spending money because they're just trying to keep people doing things, and the rates are negative. That we get to crypto around 70,000 by the end of 2024, and that's a combination of the crypto halvening event, right? Maybe there's going to be a few ETFs launched by large asset managers in the U.S. and Europe, and China, or maybe Hong Kong, to be specific. So we regain the all-time high by the end of 2024, and that's when the real fun starts, right? That's when the real bull market starts. And so my mental model for where we could go, I think we're going to go somewhere between $750,000 to $1 million in Bitcoin on the upside, right? And we're going to, whatever the level is, there's going to be a round number everyone's going to be focusing on. I guess Bitcoin hit 69,999, didn't hit 70,000. And then it's going to go.
There you go. So now a lot of people, including Pantera and other asset managers and smart people, are looking at the patterns in history, and a lot of people suggest that in this next bull run we're going to top out at $150,000. I think that is severely underestimated. They're just looking at charts and they're saying, okay, in the first bull run we did Bitcoin did 50x or something, and then the next one it did 20 something x, and the one after that it was 13x, and then they're just saying the one after this is going to be, and these are from all-time highs, and they're saying the next one is going to be like a 3x, and I think that's completely wrong, right? We've never had, and I'm about to get into this case right now, make this case, we've never had so much institutional money coming into the market like we do now. You guys know, right? If you've been watching my channel, you absolutely know what's going on. All the banks are ready to offer Bitcoin and crypto to their customers. All the largest asset managers in the world. We know that governments are in here, pension funds. I mean, it's a completely, entirely different market setting up right now, right? And we're about to make a case in just a second after I watch this Kevin O'Leary video with you guys about the difference of the institutional money coming into the market versus what we've had historically this entire time so far has just been retail money. But let's watch this video from Kevin real quick.
This hasn't been announced yet, but in Abu Dhabi, they're planning the launch of a new exchange to replace both FTX and Binance, and they're going to get billions on it, called M2. Totally compliant, backed by billions of dollars, incredibly stable, ownership transparency, and it can be used by anybody in the world legitimately on a compliant basis. Where do you think all this innovation is going to go? It's going to go to the UAE. It's going to go to Abu Dhabi. It's going to become the new standard in exchanges because you can't hold Bitcoin without an exchange for liquidity. And Gensler has sued Coinbase, the largest in the US, which is why Fidelity and BlackRock, who were there on the Hill, were really unhappy because they can't do their ETF. Well, Abu Dhabi's putting up its hand and saying, we can do it over here. If you can't get it done there, we'll do it here. We are the new capital of capital, and we're coming to compete. Everybody should wake up and say, wait a second, this is America. What's happening to us? And they were frying Gensler.
So this is my point, guys. This is what I want to make. So it doesn't matter if the ETF happens in America. I know it would be nice if it happens. This is going to be super bullish if finally the ETF gets passed and they all get passed at once. BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck, Valkyrie, all these guys, right? But no longer is the world sitting to wait for what and watch what America does, right? You've got BRICS and everybody else who realizes this potential. And I know about this M2 exchange. A lot of my friends, I'm actually headed to Dubai tomorrow, but a lot of people have been talking about this M2. And yes, the government of Abu Dhabi, the UAE, is heavily invested in this M2 exchange. And yes, they are looking into Bitcoin spot ETFs. And yes, so is Hong Kong. And when that happens, also you've got Saudi, right? Saudi is watching Dubai, and Saudi is, they won't come out and say it, but Saudi is basically wanting to completely cover Dubai with their presence. They're building those mega projects. They have so much capital. And so you better believe that if an ETF and this major exchange launching in UAE right now, and if the ETF launches there as well, it's going to happen in Saudi, and all the money's going to come in, and the Middle East is going to go all in, and America is going to look like idiots. And they finally, if they haven't launched it by now, they're finally going to launch it. So this is all going to happen, right? And this is all going to happen for sure within the next year. And when that happens, you're going to have crazy amounts of money from all over the world. I mean, the UAE and the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, these guys have trillions and upon trillions of dollars, probably more than what BlackRock manages, right? And they're going to put in some of it. And everyone realizes, they're all looking at this and just waiting to see when this supply shock happens, guys. There's such few Bitcoin actually circulating. I think I saw something not too long ago that mentioned there's 5% of Bitcoin that's in supply, in total supply, is actually being circulated right now. The rest is being held for at least 30 days, if not a lot longer, in long-term holders' wallets. These guys are not selling, right? And so when people start to go buy it, and they will start to buy it massively, and they're going to start realizing that people aren't selling and that you can't buy it. What do you think happens when the demand goes through the roof and supply goes to nothing? This is economics 101. Price is going to absolutely skyrocket beyond, way beyond $150,000 like people are expecting this next bull run to go. I mean, I would almost bet my life that on this next bull run, we're going to go way higher than that. But inevitably, without a doubt, for sure, Bitcoin, the market cap of gold is 12 to 13 trillion dollars. And Bitcoin is a far better version of gold. It is more divisible. It's easier to transport. It's unconfiscatable. It's anonymous. You can travel across borders with it. You know it's artificially scarce, so no more can be found on asteroids or in the earth or whatever. You know what the supply is transparently on chain. It's a better version. Gold is divisible by 1/100 millionth. Obviously, Bitcoin is. It's just a better version of it. So what's different now? What's different in this market. In 2021, retail investors, people like you and me, pushed the price of Bitcoin to $69,000. That is less than 1/15 on the way to $1 million Bitcoin. That was retail alone, not institutions whatsoever. And retail, You and me, we are tiny in the grand scope of things. Look at this. There's $109 trillion in the global stock markets in one chart. So $109 trillion. And guess how much of that is retail? According to data from Morgan Stanley, individual investors account for 10% of trading volume on the stock market at any given day. So 10%. So 10% of this volume. So 90% is institutions. That gives you an idea of how much more money is going to come into the markets once institutions are allowed to start playing, right? And it's been, and as Arthur has said, and it's been just too difficult for institutions to come in. They don't have a nice financial product to do it like an ETF. But this is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to happen, whether it happens in the next few months or the next year. It's going to happen for sure. And once institutional money starts coming in, the price of Bitcoin is going to blow people's minds. I am a firm believer that we are in the midst of a super cycle beyond the scope of anything anyone has ever seen. And Arthur believes that it's going to go up like crazy because we're going to get not only, and he goes into this interview and says, not only is it going to be the crypto market, but stock markets as well. And I've said it on this channel before, time and time again, that 2024 is an election year. The markets have to be good. And eventually the markets will crash. And maybe that's after this next super cycle. And this is a super cycle for all markets, not just crypto. It's going to be an injection of liquidity from the governments to sustain and hold up everything. And then maybe we see some major crash after that, and that's when CBDCs come in, which I've said on this channel before. You guys know my thesis of a major catastrophe has to happen in order for them to usher in without resistance a CBDC, right? But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys to change your life forever. So you need to take this seriously. And I'll be making videos a lot, guys. I'm going to start going live probably pretty soon, and we'll see if we can get, I don't know. I'm not going to promise too much. I'm in Dubai. I'm going to be at a lot of conferences and events. It's blockchain month in Dubai for all of October. But stay tuned, guys. I hope that you're enjoying the content. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you guys later.